What's going on, you guys? We got a recommendation from Jennifer Barber on Instagram. I've been doing this trend where I'm evaluating markets and showing people how to actually evaluate a market, do an investment analysis for Airbnb. So today, she suggested Katy, Texas, which I have never looked in Katy, Texas before. I just learned it's, I guess, a suburb of Houston. So I'm interested to see if there's any opportunity out here. So basically what I'm gonna do in this video is screen share and then show you guys how I do general market research, how I do a brief overview of a lot of the details I look at on AirDNA, and then how I go search for properties, and then ultimately run the numbers to see if a property that I find is worth investing in or not. And I'll show you my investment analysis. If you guys want access to my investment analysis tools and some other information like an ebook, I'll drop a link in the description below. It's just $1. You can access that, and there's a few things that you can add on if you'd like. No pressure there. Or you can go to strhub.co and then use the online version of the investment analysis for free. Without further ado, let's just dive right in, and I'll show you guys kind of how my brain works when I'm searching for new, short-term rental properties in a new market. So when I first get to Katy, Texas, I have 4 submarkets. There's probably 4 zip codes right here within Katy. I'm going to look at the market as a whole, and I'm going to look at all the active listings. And what I'm going to do is filter by revenue. The reason I filter by revenue is because I want to see what the revenue potential is just as a whole. Like, what are the top properties in this market producing? What do they have in common? Are they all 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? So on and so forth. And then I could filter out ones that don't make sense based on my purchasing criteria. So right now you see the top of the market's 166K, 118, 114. What I'm looking for here is noticing trends. So let's just go ahead and use a filter. Let's say I was going to look for, it looks like 4 bedrooms and up tend to do the best here. And most of them have a pool and some are on a lake. So that'd probably be my initial search criteria, is I would require a pool. So if you notice all the common amenities of all the top performing properties, make a note of them, such as a pool, game room, theater room, whatever it is. And that is going to be part of my buy box criteria when I'm working with a realtor to actually go find a property of similar stature in that specific market. All right, so let's do a filter. Let's say I'm looking at 4 bedroom properties, and that's what my budget allows me to do. So as you can see, what I want to do is strip out some outliers. 166K. I'd be curious if this is actually doing 166K. It doesn't look like that great of a property. So if you notice a big outlier, it's probably going to be stripped out of our comp sheet. So we want to find a cluster of properties and understand what the revenue range is of, the subject property that we ultimately find on the MLS or Zillow or wherever you guys are looking. So you can see most 4 bedrooms are probably, looks like, low 50s to, on the high end, around 100K in total gross rental income. So just as a quick back of the napkin math, targeting 15 to 20% total gross rental income to purchase price ratio. That's going to give us a good inkling when we're looking at available properties to buy, if one is even worth doing a full-blown investment analysis. The reason we look for a minimum of 15% gross rental income to purchase price ratio is because if it's anything below that, it's going to be really hard to hit our targeted cash on cash returns of 20%. Some people target a little bit less than that, but I'm usually a little bit pickier and I want a higher cash on cash potential. So we can go over to a calculator and basically, let's just say the average between that is like 75K in total gross rental income. So what we would do is take 75,000 divided by 0.15, so 15%, and that gives us our purchase price criteria, 500K to 375. So like 500K would really be the max that I'm willing to go, and I'm really curious if we're even going to be able to find a property in Katy that kind of fits that purchase criteria. So let's go over to Katy, Texas, and I have a 4-bedroom filter on. And let's turn this to just a max of like 600 just to see what's out there. And I know I need a pool, so let's use that filter. Must have pool. All right, so this already helps filter through the minutia, right? All the crap that's out there. And we have 21 results within Katy, Texas that are 4 bedrooms or larger with a pool with a purchase price max of $600. So here what you're going to want to do, and we won't go into full depth on this specific video, but all the top comps that you find, you want to open up on AirDNA or on Airbnb and see where they're at on a map. And then you could basically draw a tighter circle on Zillow of where the properties have to be if you notice they're all clustered in one specific area or one specific zip code. In this case, let's just assume they're all spread out to save some time for the video. But like this one looks decent, it has an outdoor kitchen, $520,000 purchase price. What I'm also looking for is any additional spaces within the home, because I like to spend money on cosmetic stuff, not crazy necessarily kitchen or bathroom rehabs if possible. And I'd rather spend money on adding more amenities. So this one has a super, super nice, interior, nice exterior, pretty turnkey. So this may be a target one. It's just going to depend on what we're, trying to get the house under contract for. If we think we can get it for under 500, then it would probably be worth pursuing. It even has like a little theater room already in here. So pretty sweet. 3,000 square foot. So big home for a city market, urban area. Let's see what else we have out here. So 520, let's just filter these by the high to low purchase price. $590. This one has a big backyard. So let's open this one up in a new tab. $575. Let's see what else we can find in a more affordable purchase price. This is the part of the process that does take a good bit of time. You just have to start filtering through a bunch of the properties out there and seeing what's worth diving into further. So this is 3,200 square foot for $470. We could open this one up. This is a little bit of an older home, so I'm going to pass on that. This one has a really higher end looking backyard. It's already turfed out. There's a nice porch. We can bring this one up too. Let's see what I have on the cheaper side. So 2,600 square feet, $410,000. Nice pool. A little bit more of a dated interior, but it has some common spaces, so that one's probably worth looking at. Then we have this one, which is a 4.2. Let's go back to AirDNA, and I want to make sure. So look at the bathroom counts too. We want to see if that's a factor, aside from the bedroom count and amenities and number of guests we can sleep. Most of these are 4.4s or 4.3.5. So you have a couple outliers. This one's a 4.2.5. And then this one is a 4.2.5 as well, but they're lower in revenue. They're only doing $70K. 4.4, and then you see some other 4.2.5s, 4.2s. So what I'm going to do is go back to Zillow, and we're not going to look at the 4.2s. We're going to have at least 3 bathrooms. So let's pick one of these properties. 470. Just scroll through a bunch of these photos. All right, it looks like they have a little shed back here. I wonder if we could put like a hot tub or something. I don't know if it's big enough. This one looked a little bit more of a modern pool. 2,600 square foot for $450K. And then we had the more expensive one. Let's rule this one out. This is 470. Let's evaluate this one. So 470, a little more favorable purchase price, 3,200 square foot. So there's room for amenities. It has a pool. It has a little outhouse we could probably do something with. And then we could also landscape, maybe add a fire pit or some other features in addition. All right, so what we want to do next is go to this investment analysis template. You guys can build your own. Again, you're welcome to purchase this for just $1. In the description below, go to strhub.co. There's an online version of it. But basically how I have this structured is all the yellow cells are where we actually make alterations to the template, and then everything else should be automated. And ultimately, I want to see what the low, best estimate, and high forecasts are, and how that actually, or what return on investment, what cash on cash return that yields us. So let's assume we get this for asking price at $470,000. So that's what we're going to put right here. Let's assume we do a 15% down conventional investment loan. Let's say closing costs are 3%. The seller, given today's market, will probably pay for a little bit of that. And then no appraisal gaps. Rehab, honestly, doesn't need much of anything. Probably just want to budget for paint, maybe some new light fixtures, and some landscaping. Those are going to be the biggest things. So let's just budget like 20 grand for total rehab. That'll probably get us like a fire pit, paint the interior of the home, maybe some other things. Design, if you guys are going to work with Summer-Led Designs or a similar, a similar company, if you're doing short-term rental, I highly recommend working with our team at Summer-Led. That's all Summer-Led does is vacation rentals, and everything they touch just cash flows better. So if you're interested in learning more about them, it's summerleddesigns.com or summerled.designs on Instagram. So let's assume, how big is this square footage? Let's assume it's roughly like, 15,000 for a remote design. Again, you're gonna have to get pricing specifically from the provider you're working with. This is assuming we're outsourcing, but design does have like the biggest impact aside from just amenities in general on the listing's performance and your cash flow. It is a 4-bedroom, and then there's common spaces. I know there's outdoor space, and then we'll say at least 2 indoor spaces for $5,000. So if you really want to furnish this properly, probably 50 to 60 grand you're looking at. You could go cheaper, but I'm going to assume we're going all out with this property. So we're looking at like $164,600 all in invested. So the revenue range was 50 to 100K. So basically, to do quick math, I'm not even going to worry about the daily rates and the occupancy quite yet. Honestly, I just want to put in the forecasted targets. Now, the one thing I'll mention is I usually don't forecast cleaning fees as an operating expense because it's impossible to predict the exact number of cleans throughout the year. So I try and strip it out of OpEx and out of my rental income forecast, because when you're looking at AirDNA historicals, all of these numbers include cleaning fees collected. So a good way to do this would be, let's just say this is our one of our top comps here. So I would actually open up their Airbnb listing and I would check what they're charging in cleaning fees. $200 cleaning fee. Let's say we look at a bunch of properties that seems about standard. On average, I would assume we'll probably get like six reservations on average. Let's say all the weekends are booked plus 2 midweeks for a 4-bedroom house in an urban market like Katy, Texas. So if you guys do the math there, so it would be 6 times 200 would be $1,200 a month. Let's round up to like $1,500 a month. Okay, times 12 would be 18 grand. So what I'm going to do for each of these forecasts, on the high side, if I was forecasting like 100 minus 18,000, 82 grand. So let's just assume we'll get this close to 82,000 for the high. So let's just say this was like, yeah, that's close enough. And then the best estimate, let's just say, was like 80K minus 18, 62,000. So let's just say this was 300 at, sure, so we'll go just a tiny bit up, 65K. And then on the low end was like 50K. That was like way low. So let's just say it's like 55,000 minus. Now, if we're doing that poorly, we'll probably have less reservations. So I'm assuming we're going to have a little bit less in cleaning, maybe just like 15K instead of 18 for the year. So let's just say like around 40. So this is basically like we'd have to be doing so bad, right? So next we need to account for operating expenses. So just quickly right off the bat, we can go to the listing, scroll down, and it'll give you an estimated property taxes. Texas does have high property taxes. I used to live there. $627 a month. Insurance, what does it give me? $165. You're going to want commercial liability insurance. So, working with someone like Proper Insurance is probably the number one provider for vacation rentals. Let's just say it's like $250. Is there an HOA? $52 a month. Let's assume water, $125. Gas, probably, unless It's probably all electric appliances, but I don't want to assume that. Let's just assume there's gas like stove and stuff like that. It's probably going to be way lower. Maybe not even 100, maybe like 75. And then electric, let's just say, is like 200 for AC and appliances. Wi-Fi, CapEx, we're basically budgeting like 0.5% to 1% of the purchase price, 470 divided by 12. I don't even think I would budget that much. I would probably say looks like a newer home. Let's see when it was built. 2015. I'd probably budget like $350 a month here for CapEx. Again, this is not an expense you incur every month. You're just budgeting for big expenses in the future, like new roof, HVAC, stuff like that. Incidental, so if you're providing soaps, coffee, toilet paper, let's just say is like $100 a month. Cleaning fees, we strip that out of our forecast. General maintenance, now we are going to have pool maintenance and general maintenance, so let's just say this is like $350 a month. You'll have your tech stack, so you just have your PMS, price labs, city permit. That's one thing I did not do in this video. Did not check the regulations in Katy, Texas. I just picked this property for the sake of doing this video. So keep in mind, if you guys like this property, like the analysis, double check, triple check on regulations and city permits before proceeding with putting in an offer on any property, not just this one. I'm just showing you how to work the numbers. If you're working with a property management company, you would put the percentage that they charge and it will auto pull off of, this needs to be pulling off of the, I'm going to pull it off the best estimate here. So that's the only thing you might have to change manually if you're looking at the low versus the high forecast on a PM fee. This is monthly. All right, but in this case, it's 0, so it doesn't matter. Then the Airbnb service fee is about 3% of rental income. Okay, the last thing we have is we need to calculate the debt service. 470, 15% down. Let's just say suggesting 7.6%. That's fine. Update. Let's assume property or PMI is like 150 a month. So 2991. You have PMI because you put less than 20% down. That's pretty standard. 2991. All right. So our low forecast, we would be in the hole $2,000 a month. Best estimate right here, if we're being relatively conservative with our forecast. I think we can do a bit higher than this, to be honest, but I like to be a little more pessimistic when it comes to forecasting. You're only looking at $5 a month cash flow here, so it's basically break even. And then the higher side, which I think is very doable with this property, but I want my high side to be like, 30+% cash on cash. In this case, this is going to be 10%. So, I haven't even done the total return on investment, which is basically accounting for if you rehab the property. So I'm not even going to bother putting in those investment details because this property wouldn't even be worth it for me. Now, a couple things that could change the outcome of this property. We could insource design. That would save us, 10, 15, 20 grand, whatever it costs. And then we could also be a little more savvy on how we furnish it or amenitize it. So that could make things a little bit cheaper, which ultimately would boost our ROI. I just don't know if there's enough juice in this market to support a $470,000 4-bedroom home when the max 4-bedroom is producing 109. So, that's how you guys evaluate a market and a property. Again, this is just like the quick and dirty version of it. But just to recap, you need to do some research on, random markets. I like to invest around a growing population, or if it's a traditional vacation spot, mountains, beaches, lakes, growing populations that are 3 to 5 hour drive to that destination. Because if people are moving there, where are they going to take their friends and family on vacation? Those places. Then you need to dive into AirDNA, look at the revenue, and then look at the rental income to purchase price ratio, and that will help you evaluate a deal further, and then ultimately see what the upside is here. Ultimately, I don't know if I would invest in Katy, Texas. It's going to involve a lot more property analysis than just one. So don't give up on a market just because the first deal you analyzed isn't a home run. Hopefully you guys appreciated this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and then please subscribe if you want to see future ones like this. And if you want me to evaluate a specific market you have interest in, drop it in the comments below, and I will pick out, markets people suggest every month. And I'll do this as a recurring theme. So see you guys next time.